So good morning, everyone. I see people joining in. So for those who are joining, just to let you know, we will wait a couple of more minutes for everyone interested and registered to join. So I observe the number of people joining increasing, so it's a good time to wait a couple of more minutes. So probably 10:03 we will start with the event. So good morning and welcome to all of you. We're happy to have you here. Before we start the presentation, very warm welcome from our side. I will give an introduction who we are, from which TSOs we are coming from. I will introduce the ENTSO-E structure also to all the attendees, but I will do that as soon as we start the main event. But now let's wait a couple of more minutes for everyone interested to join. Okay, maybe one more minute to start. Okay, we've reached 100 of attendees, which is a great pleasure for us. Okay, over 100, great. Okay, so one more minute and then we start. Okay, so 10:03, we will start. I still can see people joining in. Okay, so I think it's high time to start our presentation. So again, most warm welcome from our side. Good morning. I'm happy to see such great attendance of our event dedicated to present the concept of vendor agnostic solutions to support the control centers of TSOs. Today we will be presenting the main concept, the main ideas, the so-called tenets of the position paper that we have published at the ENTSO-E website. I hope you had a chance to get familiar with the document, but we'll present the key concepts, the technical details of the tenets today. During this presentation, my name is Anna. On a regular basis, I work for Polish TSO, which is PSC, actually for a daughter company of PSC, namely PSC Innovations, that is dealing with research development innovations, but also with in-house development. I'm here I will be playing the role of narrator, but I'm also the convener of working group under Research Development and Innovations Committee of ENTSO-E that has been working on this vendor agnostic solutions concept. To present the agenda of today's webinar, the first part is welcome and introduction. I would like to introduce the structure of ENTSO-E, to present who we are, where we are coming from. I mean the TSOs, of course, what is the structure of ENTSO-E, what are the committees, like business committees, legal committees, also research development and innovations, as I mentioned. I would like to set the scene before we dive into this vendor agnostic solutions concept that have been worked on by a dedicated task force, namely Task Force Vendor Agnostic Solutions. We had a great pleasure today to have Marco Fortelloni, who is the Vice Chair of RDIC, together with us during the call. So during this first slot, I will give the floor to Marco to also allow him to motivate us with the welcome speech for all of the attendees being present at the call. So after this welcome and introductions, we will dive into first the motivation toward vendor agnosticism. What was the steering force? What was the enabler, key drivers for us to start working on vendor agnosticism? And then after significant intensive work that we have done, also very vivid and lively discussion that we've had, we will dive into the position paper. So first, a short introduction, and then the main part of today's presentation is point number 4, core tenets of this modular ecosystem, that like the tenets that are addressed in the position paper. So after that, we would like to address opportunities and challenges that we see when we're discussing the concept, and some closing remarks at the end. I'm here with, as I mentioned, Marco Fortelloni, the Vice Chair of Research Development and Innovations Committee, and also with my colleagues, expert on vendor agnostic solutions, that will be introduced for each section, giving their contribution to the tenants. So as you can see on the slide, we have a great representation of European TSOs working on the concepts. As for some housekeeping rules, as audio is concerned. Speakers are asked to switch off audio and not talking, so that we don't get any noise or echo, and participants are muted during the webinar. As for the participants' feedback, we would like to state that we don't plan a live discussion today, no Q&A session. So, but we are kindly asking you, and we are really hoping for your feedback in a written form. Here on the slide, you can see the email address dedicated for this particular communication related to vendor agnostic solutions. That will be repeated also on the last slide. So no hand raised during the webinar, no comments in the chat. These options are disabled. But the recording will be available for you as also along with the presentation. Okay, so now I'm starting this main part, welcome and introduction. So maybe I'll start with introducing ENTSO-E. As you can see, ENTSO-E was, a European network of transmission system operators for electricity, was established in 2009, and now we are represented by 40 TSOs from 36 countries. So this is a significant, huge representation of TSOs at the European level. So here we are supporting, like with the regulations, guidelines, we are for TSOs to continue their secure operations of power system, but we also provide certain guidelines, reports, recommendations, also with the regulation bodies. So our main goals is to provide and to keep a security of power system, to provide optimal functioning and development of electricity markets, and also energy transition. This is what we are all working on, to provide climate neutrality by 2050. As I mentioned, to support TSOs in their daily business operations, but also to tackle the challenges of power system of today, but also of the future, especially towards reaching the energy transition goals. We work on as a harmonized within a harmonized approach at the ENTSO-E level. We work on certain guidelines, report, position papers, white papers to cover for technical guidance. But also here today, since we are representing Research and Development and Innovations Committee, we coordinate these activities, this research, development, innovations at the ENTSO-E level to support TSOs with their future vision and developments. To introduce the landscape of ENTSO-E and place us, Task Force Vendor Agnostic Solutions, on this ENTSO-E landscape, I would like to introduce the committees. As you can see at the slide, we have various committees like the Business Committee, System Operations Committee, System Development Committee, Market Committee, also ICT Committee. And here we are representing this Research Development and Innovations Committee. Our chair, Mr. Uroš Salobir, coming from LS. This is our guiding force, supported by Marco Fortelloni from Terna, being present today in the call. Within Research Development and Innovations Committee, as you can see, we have a couple of multiple working groups to tackle the challenges that we observe now, but more importantly, that we'll observe in the future. So in order to meet this energy transition targets, we are working based on our expertise within dedicated working groups. There are also task forces, for instance, Joint Task Force DSEP, Digitalization of Energy Sector Action Plan. As ENTSO-E, we are, of course, having the strategic roadmap, tackling two pillars of our activities: power system for a carbon neutral Europe. This is one of our pillars grounding us within our ENTSO-E activities. And the second one is a secure and efficient power system for Europe. As you can see, there are multiple activities and goals for us working within ENTSO-E. But innovation, I mean, the perspective that we are looking at, and from the point of view that we are representing here, is a key enabler to meet the necessary developments and uptakes of solutions of the power system of the future. To ground our vendor agnostic solutions work stream, I would like to introduce ENTSO-E RDI roadmap, Research Development Innovation Roadmap, that was published last year for next 10 years. Of course, this is like a cyclic process of updating this roadmap. So within the current roadmap, please note that for cluster 2, we have digitalized power systems. So digitalization of power system is such an important aspect to meet energy transition goals that there is a dedicated cluster within Research Development and Innovations roadmap of ENTSO-E. And within this cluster, I would like to draw your attention to the point of Mission 4, the so-called Mission 4. So this is a milestone for us to enhance control and interoperability through digitalization. So here we are focusing on providing new concepts, new pilots to improve monitoring, ensuring interoperability, and to propose, design innovative tools to support system operations, to support system operators in the control centers. To give you just a look what we are tackling within this Mission 4 to enhance control and interoperability through digitization, there are multiple milestones. I would like to draw your attention to the particular to the ones indicated in red, because then there we see vendor agnosticism, vendor agnostic solutions clearly stated in the milestones. Also, vendor agnostic solutions are the enabler for interoperable systems, and this interoperability, standardized interfaces, this is also covered within the milestones that are ahead of us, that are ahead of European TSOs. With this, I would like to give the floor to Marco. Marco, we are happy to have you here. Please feel mostly welcome, and we're eager to listen to your contribution.
Thank you, Anna, and a warm welcome from my side to this webinar, and a welcome from ENTSO-E to this webinar. My name is Marco Fortelloni. I am the Vice Chair of the Research Development Innovation Committee, as Anna mentioned earlier. I would like to be very quick, but just to add a few words to what Anna said at the beginning of this webinar, and the importance of the ENTSO-E Research Development Innovation Committee in pursuing the development of solutions and the roadmap for innovation for the next decade that has been published. For who of you are not aware of this in the last year, and it's very important because it set missions for driving the innovation of the transmission system operation for the next 10 years. That is something that is our route and the path for our research inside the companies. And so particular, if we look at the digitalization and enhance interoperability and digitalization, which was the mission number 4, was mentioned before. I would like to give my speech and my overview in this way, because we are here today for a specific topic, which in the working group of 5, which is led by Anna, and we hold the task force and all the members and the speakers that will follow ahead. But it is one of the deliverable that we usually have in our implementation of the roadmap, because we are at this stage as a committee very focused on the implementation of the milestone that we have declared in our roadmap the last year. And this one is one of the most important topic, talking about agnostic solution, vendor agnostic solution in that mission, because the complexity of the energy system. In this way, we are trying to pushing and find more solution in the short term that they can ensure the interoperability of, in this way, different control centers, but also looking at important things like the standardization, for example, data exchange protocols, looking at the cybersecurity, the modularity. So in this webinar, you will be informed about the positioning about such subtopics which are becoming more relevant for a company, for a transmission system operator in a complex system of the future. And of course, when we talk about this, we need to look at agnostic modules and tools for system and control application, also just in order to allow more coordinated and efficient system operation. This is the purpose of the goal of the work that has been done by the working group of 5, led by Hannah and all the members. I also to say that there are several topics that we are following in our committee, particularly in artificial intelligence, for example, flexibility. So we have, as you see here, 5 permanent working group, one dedicated to the planning and also another one dedicated to innovation coordination. But all of these working group work together just in order to deliver something, to deliver on some papers of positioning of the association, looking at the needs of the TSOs. I see today, and I'm very happy to see that more than 150 participants attended today. Is a huge number, because we often organize such knowledge sharing webinar. So I would encourage you to carefully listen to the speakers that today will give an overview of our position paper. Also invite you to, for anyone not informed, to download also our innovation roadmap, because there you will find more topics and action that we are going to do for the next years. I do not take more time, but I really thank you, all the speakers at the beginning of the webinar, from the Working Group 5, from the TSO, and all of you for attending today, for spending these 2 hours with us, and all the speakers. And I return the floor to you, Hannah, and all the speakers. I will be connecting all the webinar. So thank you very much also from my side and from ENTSO-E.
Many thanks, Marco. With this, I would like to hand over to Ralph, introducing the motivation towards vendor agnosticism. Ralph, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Anna, and thank you, Marco. A warm welcome also from my side to all participants in this webinar. Thank you for joining, as the success will only be given by collaboration and sharing experience and giving guidance to each other. I'm working at 50 Hertz in the role of a product line lead for future product development, cooperation, and consulting. Today, I'm here in the role of the so-called task force leader for the vendor agnostic solution. And first, I will give you some background about that task force. So. Who is in the task force? I must admit, the work we are presenting here today is not done by some single individuals. We are a group of forward-thinking TSOs in Europe, organized through the ENTSO-E. In regular meetings, we share our vision, we collect and structure what we have learned from each other. We are looking to other parties working in that area to lift all synergies and getting already agreed results. And it is still done in the standardization part, but also in many other areas like for cybersecurity. We have a role as a TSO, operating the grid and maintaining it to stay stable and be able to follow the demand now and even in the future. Let's share ENTSO-E's vision for modular interoperable control center ecosystems, addressing the growing complexity of European power systems and the limitations of legacy, SCADA and EMS infrastructure. Power systems becoming more complex, control center systems need to be more advanced and capable of changing more rapidly along the entire process chain. Here we are looking from early operational planning over real-time operation until the ex-post analysis processes. TSOs have reached an inflection point where grid operation requirements have created a gap to the vendor capabilities. For example, the capabilities of SCADA and EMS have surpassed the capabilities of all or some traditional vendors. Next to the traditional suppliers providing their products adapted to the requirements on future ecosystems, we hope to see even more players on the market and providing new and advanced capabilities, filling the gaps of requirements and capabilities and driving the necessary innovation forward. If you wonder about the term agnostic in the headline and in the task force name, this is a clear statement and has a meaning. We welcome all parties, whether they are commercial, traditional suppliers, large or small-scale entities, academia, universities, or contributors to open source software. Every type of provider plays a vital role in our concept. Before we come to more details about that, let's understand the rationale behind the idea. And with that, we as a TSO have a long history. For many years, we have built, operated, and maintained our grid to ensure its stability and reliability, constantly adapting to the needs we encounter. We did that mostly with long-lasting projects for major updates and upgrades, having isolated data processing, complex and fragmented interfaces, and inflexible systems architecture. We still do implementations and integrations with high effort. What we need is to evolve from existing control center tools to create systems that are transparent, modular, interoperable, and interchangeable. Projects and implementation can run with lower risk and better cost effectiveness due to the modular approach. We need clarity of software, processes, and functions. Still, we need a high degree of customization and scalability to be able to grow with the demand also in the future. These are only some key elements. We explain more in the position paper. And if you ask yourself, why now? There are two complementary drivers which work together in the same direction. First, TSOs have an intrinsic interest due to the highly dynamic nature of the energy sector. Second, EU regulation and other institutions drive the change through mandatory and evolving regulations. If the demand cannot be fulfilled from the market, we need to take ownership. With that, I encourage everyone to take ownership, not on a single task or a specific role, on the success of the European energy transition. Let's use some specific requirements for a quick deep dive on the next slide. When we talk about requirements from TSOs, we understand there are more than just one or two. And we could talk here for hours. Therefore, we have chosen some key characteristics which we identified in our task force. They represent capabilities or requirements that the TSO poses or requests as missing characteristics. Simple example. If software is complex and basically constructed in a monolithic manner, any change, small or large, requires an entire system check after commissioning, update or upgrades, regression tests, and all involved components surrounding the updated element, which leads to a high cost and money effort. We have experienced that update process take too long, and that data were missing even afterwards due to incompatibility. We know that many providers have started the journey with modularity. Customer can choose modules from one provider and later increase systems with more modules from same provider. Modules from other providers can't be easily integrated and operated. They must run next to each other without fully integration. With that, single modules can't be added or even replaced by another provider. We call that vendor lock-in, as the entire application must be replaced in such a case. We often see limited digital and cyber resilience. Traditional systems are often tied to the technology of their era. Technology upgrades are difficult in monoliths or older systems. Innovation and missing features. The gap I mentioned before. It takes time, requires significant effort, and is sometimes even impossible. If I try to summarize it, today it's too costly, too slow, and still features are missing. You see here the drivers, identified in many assessments and by evaluating our conditions. Now you might understand the paradigm shift in a TSO approach to system operations. Advocating for innovations, open architecture, and a collaboration path forward that ensures security, interoperability, and resilience across European energy landscape. That's our vision, and with that, one internal driver I mentioned before. We have outlined it in goals and principles in the position paper called tenets. I have already mentioned it as two complementary drivers. The second driver was the external driver, which we might highlight in the next slide. I'm aware there is a lot of text and no need to read that through, for sure. But it shows the second and external driver. There are many requirements on system and its capabilities from local, regional, or even international entities, like standards, regulations, or directives. What they have all in common, they aim to help to harmonize and standardize over the entire life cycle, from design, development, implementation, integration, and even operation of software. And they are relevant for grid operators and their software providers. We can see requirements for functional capabilities next to requirements for security and cyber resilience. And don't forget organizational requirements or specific process-related requirements. Just some examples to highlight. The Data Act aims to ensure fair access to and use of data, fostering innovation and competition while protecting privacy. Cyber Resilience Act focus on strengthening cybersecurity across digital products and services, ensuring systems are resilient to cyber threats. Network and information security establish measures to enhance the security of network and information systems across the European. And there are more I could count. I think most of you are aware about nearly all of these requirements. These acts support TSOs in maintaining secure, efficient, and compliant operation across their software systems, and many more, but I promise not to read them all. Regulation, standardization, and organization are all pushing for change. With that, I want to conclude my motivation for vendor agnosticism and the rationale behind the position paper. Coming to the position paper itself, if the demand encompassing requirements, features, functions, regulatory compliance, modularity, flexibility, and speed cannot be met by the market, we must take ownership. I encourage everyone to take ownership. Early on, we realized that our ideas and efforts were increasingly inspiring more people, which led us to decide to create exactly this position paper. Starting with an executive view. The position paper was published in May 25 last month. It's public and intended to facilitate discussions among TSOs, software providers, and other market players. As an executive view, it provides a high-level overview of the 7 fundamental tenets that forms the basis of a next-generation control room ecosystem. The task force, Vendor Agnostic Systems, aims to refine the vision to create documents capable of assisting TSO tenders. The task force attempts to unify the way in which TSO communicate about requirements, for example, through the capability mapping approach. We see the position paper as a tool for management-level decision makers and anticipate further details with upcoming appendices. Now let's come to some key aspects of the position paper. Key aspects of the position paper, which outlines a transformative approach to control centers. We are addressing changes and challenges. The paper details requirements and ideas for a new control system designed to reduce or eliminate existing challenges. We do an in-depth analysis with technical, architectural, and organizational elements which are discussed and explained comprehensively. The tenet framework. We have established the 7 tenets providing a solid framework for next-generation control center systems. The shifting paradigm. We focus on the TSO's shift towards openness, transparency, interoperability, and interchangeability, key to boosting sustainability and resilience. Future-ready systems. We offer clear guidance on the essential aspects of designing and building future-ready control center systems. We have a holistic approach. We represent a new mindset, new ways of working, and organizational changes, emphasizing a holistic approach. Yeah, what is the conclusion? The conclusion, this is a paper as a catalyst for innovation and change in our critical domain. Let's work together for a resilient future. Now let's take a look on the executive summary. The executive summary identified what the future ecosystem should look like. There is a long definition, as you can see, one long sentence. But as a highlight, it says following. We do not see only all the new stuff and isolated developments. We know that all new and legacy needs to be integrated and must work properly together. We do not focus on real-time processes only. We also consider planning processes like outage planning, forecasts like weather or renewable production, and scheduling processes, e.g., for example, for power plants. Real-time processes as in SCADA and energy management systems, and furthermore, exposed analysis for reporting or deep analysis of events. We already foresee new grid technologies being installed already or now or soon in our electrical grid. Altogether, we call it the new ecosystem where new and legacy works together, being integrated and interconnected on harmonized and standard interfaces. That ecosystem is the basis for all modules coming from established or even new and third-party providers. With that executive summary, I would like to hand over to Anna, giving more insights to the core tenets.
Thank you, Ralph. So thank you, Ralph, for introducing the motivation and the storyline behind providing the position paper. But now it's high time to dive into the concepts, the key concept of the position paper. So we have defined 7 tenets. We have defined them based on the agreement and a lot of discussions among us within Task Force Vendor Agnostic Solutions, how to define this new ecosystem for control centers of the future, how to support interoperability, but also many other aspects to tackle the challenges that we have in common within ENTSO-E community, and also to reach the goals that we also share at the ENTSO-E level. So the tenets are the following. There are 7 of them: transparency, modularity, standardization. We have also discussed integration, digital and cyber resilience. This is an extremely important aspect among all of them. separation of concerns. This is also that we have discussed, and we know that these tenets, the new approach, innovative approach, that would require some proposals of new ways of working, that is also touched upon within the position paper. We'll share this, the introduction of the tenets and details of the tenets among the task force VAS experts. I'll be the first one to start with the transparency. So as you can see, we have multiple experts defining the concepts. So in the position paper, as far as transparency is concerned, we state that the new ecosystem aims to secure transparency for the TSO community, potential providers, or even DSOs. So we look at the concept from a broad perspective. We have discussed a lot from which angle and which aspect, which area we should discuss the transparency on. First, since we are discussing new applications, new concepts for the control systems for control centers of the future, we discuss the transparency within the software development. So within this area, within the domain of software development, transparency means that all the parties are involved in decision-making processes related to software development regarding, in principle, software design, architecture of the solution, technologies that will be used when implementing, the project structure, within which methodology or combined methodology we will be working on while deploying when implementing and then deploying the software. And also a very important aspect is to provide and then receive transparent feedback that will be included in the software development and life cycle. When we searched through the literature, to find, to feel the meaning of transparency, because this is a concept that all of us have an understanding. But in terms of the aspects that we are discussing here, we wanted to have this reference to the literature. So we have found out that there are over 100 definitions of transparency factors. So it's really challenging to. It was really challenging for us to really narrow down the scope and work on that within our concepts. So based on this literature review, we have stated that we need information transparency within our tenet, and also the transparency can be related to processes that are shared within TSO community. As you can see, within this TSO community, additional layers needs to be taken into account. I mean, additional layers on top of software development, software deployment, just regular project structure within organizations, because we are working in a system of connected system at the ENTSO-E level. So here, being a part of ENTSO-E, we also follow the European Commission regulation establishing a guideline on electricity transmission system operations, because we're part of ENTSO-E. Also, we need to follow ACER methodology for coordinating operational security analysis, establishing a guideline on electricity transmission system operators. And also we follow a EU regulation on submission and publication of data related to electricity markets. For instance, that was the basis for transparency platform that European transmission system operators are obliged to deliver data to. So this is our goal here within discussing this transparency related to vendor agnostic solutions. So how to develop a framework for transparent cooperation among TSOs regarding solutions in the control center ecosystem to support various aspects. So where we see this necessity to be transparent, first of all, we would like to enhance the data exchange via standardized interfaces. So we already are exchanging data among TSOs, between TSOs and DSOs, but we would like to enhance this transparency in this data exchange, especially via standardized interfaces. There is a strong need for this enhancement. Also, we see a necessity for transparent sharing of information regarding software requirements, design documentation. We feel this is very necessary and profitable for the community, because we share challenges of the power systems of today and of the future, and we also share the targets of the energy transition that we would like to reach. The transparency can also be related to cooperation of TSOs on design and deployment of new ecosystem architecture. Of course, we value and we respect the internal organizations, but we can learn from the best. So we can exchange this knowledge and share our experience in the community when we discuss this system architecture to support the control centers of the future. And also we know that these aspects that we will be discussing later on within further tenets, that all of that requires to establish new business models. So if we have experience on that within the community, we would like to also share this in a transparent way, not only experience, but also share the software and or modules that are being devised within TSOs with others in the community. With this, I would like to give the floor to Morten, introducing a second tenet dedicated to modularity. Morten, the floor is yours.
I think, Morten, you're on mute.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Anna. Thank you for my name is Morten Slåsted, coming from the Norwegian TSO.net. So I'll take you to the modularity tenet. As Ralph mentioned, there's a time to change how we think about the software solutions supporting the control rooms. To achieve the flexibility we need to handle all the challenges we as TSOs are facing, modularity is one of the key tenets. If you look at modularity, it's not a new concept. Some of us, Statnett was one of them, but other utilities and also the vendors back in before 2010, we worked together in SIGRE on a paper, and we published a paper called the EMS architecture for the 21st century. Even then, modularity was one of the key tenets. But if you look at it 15 years later, we have not implemented modularity at the level we need now, probably, and we are facing, if you look at how the world around us has changed, they're a totally different world we are living in 2025 than it was back in 2010 when this paper was published. So let's look at the concept of modularity and different architecture framework. Like TOGAF, they talk about, you see it from a business architecture view, data architecture, application architecture, or even technology architecture. In our paper, we see it from the business perspective, including the business capabilities we need to support. And for sure, then we also need the data products. So the main characteristics we need for modules is that they should be universal and reusable as possible. For sure, there will be they need to be configurable because we are different, so you can support the different needs from the TSOs. And as I mentioned, one key thing is that they need to have well-defined input and output data. They will talk about the tenet separation of concern, and for sure modularity will be important to support the separation of concern tenets as well. And Ralph also mentioned the flexibility we need so we don't need to upgrade or test all the monolithic solution we have today. So they need to be independable, deployable, and operable. And they should not have hard bindings between them. They should be, for sure, we should try to not have a logical relationship between them, but not technical dependencies. They should have a clear purpose specific to business capabilities, as I mentioned. We see that there's a huge change in the underlying technology and environment, so they should be as independent as possible from the runtime environment. And for sure, they need to expose all the relevant data in standardized interfaces. And Ralph also mentioned that we see a need to bring more new players into into our ecosystem. And so modularity is one of our key tenets to, we can break up the elephant in small pieces, then we can bring in new players that can deliver specific solutions we need for the control centers for the future. So that was a brief introduction to the modularity tenets. So then I give the floor to Karsten that will take us to standardization.
Thank you very much, Morten. I'm Carsten Strunge, Chief Engineer in Digital Grid Products at Energinet in Denmark. The topic of standardization has already been mentioned a couple of times, and we know to achieve the modular concepts and vendor agnosticism, we need a higher degree of standardization. And standardization is in very many areas when you look at the control center ecosystem. It's of course between modules and the application platforms where the modules can live, and all of the data infrastructure that's in the application platforms. There's also within the platform itself, and in the also in the data layers where you have all the system models. We also have to align with standards on security, where modules need to go into security concepts, which Andreas will talk about after these tenets. Having a modular concept also means that we want to have more standardized ways of looking at graphical user interfaces. Not having a graphical user interface per module or per system, but more integrated into the future control centers. This also means more standardization. On the data side, together with the system modeling, we also have all our production data, where we, of course, already have some degree of standardization, especially when exchanging information between TSOs, but we also need more of this internally in our systems and between modules and the rest of the systems, so that systems are aligned on the data. And looking at the whole ecosystem, we of course still have both external and internal interfaces. External interfaces, we use a high degree of standards already. Here we need to align more towards standards that comply with the modern requirements. And the same goes for the internal interfaces in our systems. All in all, we don't intend to start from the beginning with all standards, because we already have a lot of international standards we can base these interface standards on, and it is our intent to base it on these known international standards. For that, we have, during the period of the work with the vendor agnostic solution, we did do surveys also within the TSOs to get a clear picture of what types of standards were actually used in different ecosystems at different TSOs or the TSOs in the survey. I'd say one thing was conclusive, and that was that everybody is using CIM. The IEC is Common Information Model Standards for data interoperability and data information modeling. Apart from that, it was really difficult to come to a clear conclusion. There's a lot of intent also in also we see from different works on EU level, where especially quite a few years ago, EU made this mandate 490 on smart grids, which came with a set of standards that gives us a guideline on what we need for the future. And these will also be many of the standards that we're looking for, but we also need to look for other and more modern standards. So coming from that, of course, we know that also with standards we have both new and old. And going into the next tenet about integration, we also recognize that we do have legacy systems, and we have to be able to operate continuously. And we need to also, when building new ecosystems or renewing our ecosystems, we need to have flexibility, and we need to have continuity in our operational system landscape. So, and this also means that there needs to be interfaces between legacy systems or existing systems and new and more standardized ecosystems. And this can be done later in the tenet around segregation of concerns. There's also a nice picture if you look into the position paper around how to adapt or have adapters or interfaces to existing ecosystems. Another part of integration is what we call infrastructure integration or infrastructure agnostic ecosystems. And this means that we need to have standards and also ways of work to keep us flexible, so that we can move modules also internally in our ecosystems. Maybe we want to move a module from on-premise to a cloud environment if we have some hybrid, or maybe even in some worst case scenario, we want to be able to move it to a cluster or maybe on a substation or somewhere else where we need to have the function running. And this means that we have to be able to also be agnostic between the software and the hardware and the both technical application platforms we work on. And this also goes together with scalability and future-proofing, where we need to have technologies where we can easily adapt to new requirements. As already heard, I've told about a lot of the new requirements that come all the time, both from legislation and the changing environment, moving towards a more renewable power system. And all this, our conclusion has been that the way to go is to be cloud native compliant. So the techniques behind cloud native compliance, to be able to have standardized ways of deploying software and code onto systems, so that we can easily move and be flexible and scale our systems. So, and the next is on resilience, and that's over to you, Andreas.
Yeah, thanks, Morten, for presenting your tenets so far, and to the others as well. So we heard now already about a couple of tenets: transparency, modularity, standardization, integration. And now I would like to take you on a journey for digital and cyber resilience, which Anna already mentioned, and I personally think it's extremely important for us, not only because it's a hot topic these days, but it's only but it is as well highly relevant for us as TSOs. And yeah, within that, we outlined capabilities and principles to build digital and cyber resilient next-gen control room ecosystems. And I would like to take you on that journey that we undertook. And we started out with our motivation. Yeah, as a transmission system operator, we have a clear resilience and security priority when operating the power system. So first of all, there is functional safety. First, personal safety, then minimizing damage on equipment. The next one is security of supply as a primary goal for society. And the third one is a fair competition across power markets. That means that the overall power system resilience is one of the key performance indicators for us as a TSO. And therefore, it is, as said, highly relevant for us. On the right-hand side of the slide, we depicted the power system resilience, and that is for us TSO a continuous challenge. And it is our ability to prepare, detect, respond to, and recover from any type of incident, and review as well to be better prepared for the next situation. We see that as an integral component of our core business. And we took then resilience into our business and see that as a multidimensional challenge. So we have the electrical dimension. So that's for us things like system security, dynamic stability. We have the physical dimension where we have physical security for our assets, where we have where we need to be resilient for natural disasters. And we have a human dimension where we always need to have skilled and trained operators and experts, and to have the knowledge available. Within this position paper for this task force, we focus on the fourth dimension depicted here, and that is digital and cyber resilience. And it is a critical and important pillar for a future control room ecosystem. So on this slide here, I'd like to start to say that when you talk about digital and cyber resilience, sometimes it's often directly related with cybersecurity, but it is definitely more than that. We define these capabilities that are necessary, and as a TSO, our objective is to maintain a high degree of digital and cyber resilience that matches the resilience expected for the power system that we operate. And out of this, we created these principles here that I'd like to go through and take you one by one to that. So there is system and process documentation. I know documentation is not always the most favorite topic, especially if you're like in IT. it is. It's sometimes not as welcomed by everyone, but we need to have this as the key for knowledge management, and to have a smooth handover of information. System and process surveillance is a relevant principle for us as well. So we need to have surveillance and monitoring, and this is necessary for us to react early enough to prevent incidents. Therefore, we need to have that across every layer of the IC/TC stack. Then there is information and process integrity. Some of you may know the CIA classification. So integrity is for us the most important aspect. And information and process integrity is a key resilience aspect to secure the power system operators' trust in digital services. There's as well the secure and standardized communication, which goes, or which explains that a bit more even, that standards maintain integrity between systems and system actors. There is as well the IT emergency preparedness and disaster recovery. So for us, it's important to respond and recover from large-scale and extreme incidents. These need to be considered in the outline and planning of the ecosystem and be part of our business continuity management. We see as well that we need to have like distributed infrastructure and controls. That is one way then to respond and to mitigate via physically distributed services. An important principle is as well the information decoupling, the segregation and isolation. These are key features of the Zero Trust architecture, enables zone isolation in response to cybersecurity incidents. And our operational platform is in critical infrastructure, and we must be able to run in isolated mode, not connected to the outer world. So actually, I see that my camera switched off. Let me see. So it works again. Sorry for that. So we see as well another principle, the self-healing IT systems and N-1 redundancy. The electricity supply critical systems like our ones must be fully redundant, meaning every function, service or asset must be resilient to a single process failure with little to no control or function downtime, while having any hardware or software maintenance. So something needs to be in maintenance, and then still a failure can happen, and we have, as said, a single or no no functional downtime. That is what we are striving for. So the next part is then already mentioned before, the cybersecurity and security by design. So this is often associated with the 27000 standard. However, this standard needs to be supplemented with technical standards for example, for encryption or communication or others. And the design must account for robust and secure data transfer, data storage, and data processing, taking all the fallback options into account. As the last principle, we wrote down vendor and technology robustness and diversity. In this paper here, in this group, the vendor agnostic approach is for us also a resilience principle to cope with any issues in the supply chain for our digital solutions to enhance the resilience of the overall system. So with these principles outlined here, they shall serve us as a guideline for future control room ecosystem. And the guideline can be understood as well as a general foundation to build a digital and cyber resilient ecosystem. With this statement, I would like to hand over to Ralph again. And
thank you, Andreas.
Yep.
So coming to the next tenet, which is in that case tenet 6, separation of concerns. I hope not to stress the participants again with a full slide. Yeah, I will guide you through it. First, giving an overview. You see different ambition levels reflecting the demand and the change an organization want to reach in a certain time frame. Short, mid, or long-term ambitions, and it can differ from TSO to TSO, as every TSO had a different start condition and different pressure in its network. Let's focus on the left side first. That reflects, I guess, most of the today's TSO systems in a control center as we know it since years and what's still ongoing in implementation. We are good in it, adding always new features to the system without real optimization or even replacement parts of the current. Let's see the blue boxes, blue bubbles. We see the current system landscape with capabilities from historical growing landscapes, app by app, application by application, installed, operated next to each other in blue. We know all the green isolated way for extension. There is a green bubble in the middle, not connected at all. And sometimes there is a demand. We need a new tool to support a new business process, and that really needs to be fast implemented. So the best way is install it without interfering the existing systems. In some cases, it's fast and it provides a solution. Another supplier or vendor is selected, connected and integrated. These are the other blue bubbles, green bubbles. So you have new application as you say, okay, next to my legacy system, I would like to have something integrated, which even communicated with my legacy system, my current, but there are no standard interfaces and we are dependent on the existing system, and any kind of upgrade or update on the legacy or the new system has an influence on each other. The connected systems needs to be considered with extra effort. In the past, tools formed the processes for operator. Any task or related business process hard connected to specific tools. And then another task, even close to the same business process, another tool was installed, providing service for the task. That's now a challenge for the control center operators. As in the head of the operator, a combination of information from multiple independent tools takes place for decision making. The operator needs to combine all information because the tools are decoupled in user interface, the way of providing data and information. In the middle, we see in the middle a description with an ambition where we want to lift advantages and synergies already. Therefore, the integration of new capabilities follow a clear direction as described in the position paper, like standardized interfaces, which support easier integration, centralized data management in a better structure to know where which data needs to be handled and maintained. And some of the legacy application can already be transformed into the new architecture. Still, some legacy parts stay untouched. On the right hand, here we see an integrated platform approach where capabilities with a dedicated focus are implemented as modules, orchestrated, and separation of concerns says only for a dedicated purpose. With that, the integration of a single module will have only small impact on other modules. Upgrade and update is very focused, and short-term project phases, especially with a well-defined and standardized interface, will be faster and more cost-efficient. And even exchanges or replacement of entire modules with another provider, here we call it so-called exchangeability, is given following the standardization approach. We are fully aware that comes not only with a piece of software developed by our principals. Such large change in the control room environment also required large changes in mindset, project organization, and even the centralized organization from responsibilities, roles, purchasing rules, and many more to be adapted for the better. What we clearly see is that that ecosystem considers the integration of legacy system. And with that, let's take a look to that new ecosystem on the next slide. Understanding our tenet separation of concerns right means the new ecosystem will consist of 3 layers. The layer 1 on top is a layer with the modules. Modules are the building blocks of a modular system. Each module encapsulates a specific functionality or a set of related functionalities. Each module will have a module contract, which is an integration description for both the application platform and the technology platform to which it is to be connected. A module contract includes the definition of the interface, data requirements, application platform services, and technology platform services required to run. In the middle, we see the application platform. The application platform serves as the foundation upon which modules are deployed and interact. It provides the necessary infrastructure and services to support the execution of modules. This includes runtime environments, middleware, and APIs that facilitates communication between the modules. On the application platform, core capabilities are centralized, developed once, and serve for multiple business processes. Let's take centralized data management, integrated user interface, including user authentication, and further centralized alarm capabilities. Below, we have technology platform. The technology platform underpins the entire system, offering the core technology and tools required to build and run the application platform and the modules. This includes hardware, operating systems, databases, and network infrastructure, and covers functions such as storage, security, and it will dictate which standards are used to connect the other layers. Following my previous explanation, separation of concerns is needed to become really vendor agnostic. Focus on specific features for specific modules. No redundant features in the modules anymore. Reducing purchasing cost, reducing multiple data sources of truth, enable seamless update, upgrade, or even replacement of modules to stay interoperable. We are aware that this separation is a huge ambition and can't meet at any time, which means in some cases redundancy in functionality still comes when using multiple providers. Still, the goal is to reduce extra effort and costs as much as possible. Therefore, it's an architecture principle called separation of concerns. Remember, modules from multi-vendors, multi-size, next to each other, not connected towards each other. Here we want to avoid the so-called spider web-like communication from one to another we have seen in the ambition level 1. It shall be managed and orchestrated based on strict rules. There's always a question about responsibility talking about strict rules. In the past, we asked the supplier, in best case 1, to take over the full responsibility. As I mentioned, with the increased challenges of the current systems, it became clear that we need to take over more responsibility for the systems on our own. But also with orchestration ownership, there is a shift in holding a share of the operational responsibility, giving the strong rules towards the module providers. It might be an extra effort to facilitate the numbers of modules coming from multiple vendors. But if the challenge is large and the pain is getting bigger, that effort is often a better price than to continue with the existing setup. For more details, please take the paper. In the position paper, we are more in details and can explain, or did explain, more and more what is behind it. Yeah, I think the next tenet is waiting, and Andreas, back to you.
Andreas, you're
All right.
muted.
Yep,
Okay.
thanks. Thanks again, Ralph, for handing over. And I realized before that I didn't even introduce myself proper. So I'm Andreas Rudolph. I'm working for Tenet in the System Operation Department of Tenet Germany, and I'm part of the Control Room of the Future program from Tenet. And now I have the honor to present the last tenet of this vendor agnostic position paper. And that is the new ways of working. So yeah, we believe that a vendor agnostic solution for next generation control room systems comes with a new ways of working for vendors and TSOs. And we would like to invite all of you to cooperate with us and shape this new way of working to build such control room ecosystems. Ecosystem in that sense means that multiple modules can run in a combination from different providers. And the new way of working is an umbrella tenet where we cover a couple of aspects. And I'd like to go through that with you. And now I see that my camera failed again. So I think I have to count on my N-1 redundancy here. I have a second one. Let me check. Does that work? Yes, I think it looks a bit different. I have to reorganize my workplace here a bit. So, but I hope it's working again now.
Always a role model.
Yes.
All right. Yeah, the aspects we have here in this chapter is the development and maintenance. So the new ecosystem is not limited to software only. It also includes development, operation, and maintenance models. So the new ecosystem must also provide guidelines and guidance for these areas of the software lifecycle. There is as well the cross-source compatibility. So the new ecosystem can accommodate a combination of parts, modules with different software licensing models, and combining modules from different sources can create benefits. Another aspect is the legal consideration. And yeah, we stated, and we are clear on that the new ecosystem will require a legal framework to enable the ecosystem. So an appropriate legal framework is essential to allow modules to be legally distinct in terms of liability and guarantees, which is important for us as TSOs and for vendors and providers. And the last aspect we outline in the position paper is the new provider collaboration. So the new ecosystem will embrace a new collaboration with providers and facilitate new market models. I'd like to go through these four aspects a bit and yeah, go a bit more in detail to the development and maintenance. So as said, all aspects from development to operation and maintenance have to be considered. And we as TSO have to make sure that we get what we want and are more involved in the life cycle of modules and products. The key aspects for this part are, first of all, continuous improvement. So the energy system is undergoing an intensive transition phase, and we would like to meet our need for continuously emerging new requirements with flexible modular options, and therefore continuous improvement is necessary for us. Another one is continuous integration and deployment. We as TSOs strive for a higher degree of automation in software building, testing, and deployment. And we must ensure in critical infrastructure, like us in the energy industry, a high level of availability and reliability. Continuous integration and deployment enables development close to the user with regular feedback. And the last one aspect I'd like to highlight here is the 24/7 maintenance. We as TSOs require reliable operation, and therefore most modules need to have 24/7 software support. And this can be organized in such an ecosystem on a modular basis, which we think is a large benefit. The next part I'd like to go through is the cross-source compatibility. So we would like to achieve cross-source compatibility with tenets stated before, like standardization or interoperability, modularity, to strategically combine modules from different sources to create benefits. And these benefits for different types are, for example, for open source modules, that they are freely available and that they foster innovation. For proprietary modules, that they are especially built and tailored to our individual need, and they offer therefore high customization. And for commercial modules that are based on standard requirements that need to be customized, but offer quicker implementation. Coming to the legal considerations, and as said, an appropriate legal framework is essential. And we believe that legal separation of concerns is of great importance. So to treat legal, regulatory, and compliance-related aspects separately is a way for us to achieve that, and with that promote a systematic, structured approach to integrate legal aspects into software development, which we think is necessary to achieve the goals and create this next generation control center ecosystems. And with that, I'd like to come to the last one, and that is the new ways of working. For the new ways of working is the new provider collaboration. All tenets mentioned before will change the way of collaboration between TSOs and providers and lead to a new relationship. We believe that new roles and responsibilities will emerge, and that there is place for new market players, as well as new market models for existing and new players. So we believe that new ownership and maintenance models can emerge and serve our needs as TSOs for ecosystem components. And each party can leverage its strength and provide the best possible service. That could be as well that we as TSOs take over some of the roles and some of the responsibilities that we may haven't done in the past before. And things like building our own modules was mentioned as an example before in other chapters. So finally, I'd like to conclude that the new ecosystem can only take root and succeed if the following holds true. Like, all parties are willing to dive into a new era of TSO and provider collaboration. And we would like, as said at the beginning, to invite everyone to be part of that journey. We believe as well that new opportunities arise for vendors and providers. And yeah, Ralph will tell us more about that now.
Thank you. Opportunities and challenges. Here's a slide, is there. Yeah, we have presented the idea and the position paper and the idea of many TSOs. And now we would like to structure a little bit what is that meaning for you as a market player. You have different roles, and we see a group of many things which are good opportunities for vendors and providers. And I would like to run through it a little bit and say, okay, one thing to drive innovation is that we are connected to state-of-the-art technologies and can do new things in a new way with new technology. And this will be with new providers, with additional providers, be possible. For example, if we talk about new technology, we are not inventing that by our own on the market or in comparable markets. It's already used, and sometimes we are just late followers. So we can reuse the experience from other markets and other players already in our business. Deep insight into TSOs. What do we mean? We work together here in the task force. We invite you here in the webinar. We exchange a lot via internal and external challenge. And if we learn from each other and do multiple projects, we get concentrated insights and can even improve our requirements. And we can harmonize our TSO requirements, which enables a lower barrier for reusing modules. Market access. What's really new now is that with the new providers, and maybe I was not so clear when we use sometimes vendor, sometimes provider, we are preferring to use the term provider now because all market player which provide software can be mentioned here. Commercial and large supplier, small scale supplier, academia, universities, open source providers, and any other market player like system integrators can play a role in the new concept and will find the right position where they fit best. And with that, also very high specialized modules can be integrated now when especially a new company, another university has something developed that is so special that a TSO wants to integrate it. By having the segregation of concerns in mind, we remember you to short product life cycles. We can reuse development expertise, we have lower cost, we have a modular approach where it's more clear on a specific function which needs to be implemented. Nothing around needs to be implemented. It will be simplified, saves the maintenance. And we have seen a lot of requirements, a lot of principles called tenets, and they really boost the interoperability. You have the standardized formats, defined interfaces. We have talked about the module contract, which is more than just technical interfaces. It also describes the data structure. So we see that altogether brings the provider in the right position where they fit best. And we hope that we can stimulate you to become part of our idea and to accompany us on our journey. We are fully aware. Give me a moment. I click twice. So we know, and this is shown on the left side, by presenting the new ecosystem, by presenting the tenets, by presenting new way of working. We always get some concerns which we want to cope with, because we take concerns serious and we say, of course, it needs to be considered. And we have, of course, IT security concerns, market concerns, legal concerns, quality concerns, all the concerns which comes when you change something. And for that, we say in our position paper, we describe the principles, we describe the rationale behind, and we describe many good arguments for managers, for decision makers, and for market player to understand what we as a TSO need. But maybe you feel that there is something missing on detail level, and you are right. And therefore, we would like to integrate now further appendices which describe more in details, more tangible, what does it mean for digital and cyber resilience? What is the catalog of standard being used? What kind of license model and use cases are foreseen and can be purchased from the market? What stages of transitions are there? So appendices will come and will explain more in details what we aim, and sometimes it can be even used for a tender, so both parties, user and provider, can agree on requirements, way of working, technology, and everything which comes as a full package. Yeah, with that, Anna, I think I hand over back to you.
Yes, thank you, Ralph. So first of all, I would like to thank all the task force vendor agnostic solutions experts for presenting the tenets, giving the details that are also covered within the position paper. So many thanks for your contributions, many thanks for the excellent presentations. And before closing the meeting, I would like to also a bit sum up, but also indicate the next steps. So first of all, I would like to thank all our attendees to be here with us today. Thank you for your interest in the subject of vendor agnostic solutions. As I mentioned, this is a future ahead of us, indicated in the research development and innovations in the roadmap of ENTSO-E. So this is the motivation and anchoring for us to work within this work stream. So thanks for your interest and staying here with us for this webinar. Before saying more thank you, I would like to also encourage you and kindly invite you to provide your comments, feedback, responses, and also we will be delighted to answer simply your questions that you might have after the webinar. But also, please find the QR code on the slide that you can scan to reach out directly to the position paper and dive into the subjects that we might have missed today due to time constraints. So please feel mostly welcome to get back to us. The email address of Research Development Innovations team at ENTSO-E is available for you. We will be pleased to get back to you with all the clarifications, all the comments, responses that you can share with us. So do not hesitate to reach out to us. Also, please take in mind that we, depending on the complexity of your feedback or questions, we may need some time to work on that, but for sure we will get back to you because we are mostly interested in your feedback in the way you see our future collaboration and also this vendor agnostic solutions concept. So this is on the slide. You can see the timeline according to which we will be working now. So today we have been presenting the concepts covered within the position paper. This is a very important checkpoint for us because once the document is available online, you can of course read through it, but it's fantastic to have this opportunity to present it during the live session to our attendees coming from various organizations, various companies. So we're grateful for this opportunity. So we are hoping within this next quarter of the year, we are hoping to receive your feedback, your comments, questions via the email, and then we will be responding to you. Also, if you are interested and you see a necessity for this, please do not hesitate to contact us so that we can organize a dedicated call, a dedicated meeting in a smaller group to provide any clarifications and also to discuss certain concepts in details. So we also encourage you to reach out to us with respect to this. And after having received all the comments, feedback, and working on the answers and clarifications, we will be happy to publish the FQAs at the ENTSO-E website closer to the end of the year. Also, as Ralph mentioned, we have tackled and we have started already working within a new workstream dedicated to appendices to provide more detailed technical discussion about the tenets presented in the position paper. We know that in the engineering world there might be this necessity, this eagerness to find out more at the technical level. So we are pleased to provide them within the dedicated appendices. But this is, as I mentioned, this is work in progress. Okay, so with this slide we will be closing the webinar. So again, thank all the attendees for joining this call, for joining this webinar, and your interest in the subject. But this is not the only thank you that I would like to say today. I would like to thank, first of all, the Task Force Vendor Agnostic Solution experts for this excellent work, true serious commitment and engagement and hard work that they have done. I had an opportunity to learn from the best. I was supporting and facilitating this workstream as much as I could. So this is our success to be here today, and I'm really grateful for that. That was a fantastic chance and great pleasure for me to work with you. Many thanks. Last but not least, I would like to also thank the ENTSO-E Secretariat for supporting us with the organization, the publication, communication. There is a lot of work being done in the back office, but it is a significant work that really helped us a lot. And also I would like to thank RDIC chairs, Marco being here today, Uroš for any support, good word for us, and feedback and your guidance that you have provided to support us here within this vendor agnostic solutions concept. Maybe one step back, I would just get back for the QR code because I would like to again refer to the position paper. Please read through this. Any sort of questions, any sort of comments, feedback will be mostly welcome by us. We will provide the response via email. So I think this is all on my list for today. Many thanks again for staying with us. I'm wishing you an excellent rest of the day. Have a nice lunchtime. We saved some time so that you can enjoy your lunch without any hurry. So we are really looking forward to hearing from you. Do not hesitate to reach out to us via the email presented in the slide. So with this, I would like to close the meeting. Many thanks. Oh, okay. Oh, sorry. Well, maybe one more comment. I received advice from my colleagues. We will share the webinar recording. We will share the presentation as soon as possible. That will be supported by our secretariat colleagues. Okay, so I think we could close the meeting right now. So many thanks. I'm wishing you a good rest of the day. Thank you.